Hello, I'm Enzo, and today I'll be playing TerraTech. And in this episode of TerraTech Builds, I'll be going over the F6F Hellcat. Now, this is an awesome plane, and I'm amazed I got this much detail into this build. This is one of my largest planes, only next to the B-17 bomber that I built, because that was max build limit, 64 by 64. This is only a tiny bit smaller, just barely. And the funny thing is, they fly practically at the same speed. So the design of this, you can tell pretty easily. I used the paint mod to paint it blue, and it looks awesome. I really should be using my paint mods more, because man, this looks really good. The propeller's green. Don't know why. I think that's just the blue paint on propellers. I could get the right color, but it's fine. So just like the real life equivalent, it has guns and bombs. However, I kinda skewed it a little more to TerraTech. Normally, this would have just 6 guns, 3 on each side. But this has 12 guns. And they're all high explosives, so these are great for destruction. Not great for taking out stuff, but you can swap them out for armor or shield piercing as you need. And then the bombs, I mean, there aren't many explosives, and these are the only, plain dropped bombs you can get in TerraTech, so yeah, not much choice here. And they deal very little damage, so they're just nice to have. One of my favorite details is the reticle research windows that I could use for the cockpit here. It looks awesome. Besides that, the design, I mean, I'd say I did a pretty good job trying to make it look realistic. Obviously, this is TerraTech, you can't make it perfect, but I got pretty dang close. The other most important part is this propeller. Yes, it's a propeller plane, but there's an issue. That crappy little propeller cannot move this entire tech. This is all Hawkeye. These are incredibly heavy blocks. So how do you cope with that? Jet engines. They're not yellow because I use the blue paint, but yeah, jet engines. Now, technically, I did try the 0 propellers, and you can get 12 more miles an hour out of it, but I kind of forgot these existed when I started building it. I just thought the Geocorp jet engines were better. Placing these in the space that jet engine would take is actually better, oddly enough. I didn't know that. But anyways, I think you guys are curious to see how it flies. Now, I did show a little bit of how it flies in my TerraTech stream, but to start it up, you both have the option to turn on or off the shield bubbles. I usually keep them off to reduce power usage, but the most important part is the anti-gravity. This thing technically can fly without anti-gravity, but it doesn't do a good job. Anyways, the cool thing about propeller planes is they're usually level. This one likes to go up a bit, but the wing design does help a lot. Besides that, it flies perfectly straight. It is one of my favorite aircrafts, ever. More than the Strikers, who knows? And of course, turning isn't too crazy difficult. I've also learned I have the, strafe left and right keys bound, so you can kind of do this. You can also fly upside down, although it does take quite a while to, turn. I don't know the right turn for this, but it's fine. I just need to get in position. We're doing the turret run, as usual, with a little bit of a twist. Now, as much as I'd love to watch the bombs destroy the turrets, isn't it more fun this way? The guns do take a bit of time to, okay, I guess the bombs will take care of it. I need to line myself up better. Now, in TerraTech, you usually just rely on your missiles to deal with all the aiming. However, the whole idea of this tech was to use the guns as its main armament, not the bombs or missiles. And as you can see, they're pretty effective. Although they don't fire directly in one spot, so you kind of have to go awkwardly off to the side like this, but it's alright. We turn on the shields and we practically can't be harmed. Oh. Okay, yes we can. I kind of forgot. There's a little bit of an issue with the propeller falling off, but that's alright. Awesome. Yeah, when these guns do concentrate their fire, they can deal some serious damage. If they want to concentrate. Okay, maybe not. These targets are way too small of an example. That's the main issue. The bombs do work though, so that's pretty neat. Anyways, yeah, small targets are not the best demonstration of this thing's firepower. I love those bombs. Man, these things are still chasing me. I guess that's just the advanced AI mod. So the main way to attack with this plane with the guns is more like this, where you get an insanely far lead and then you start shooting. You can kind of just destroy anything in your path. I know these are weak targets, but still, it kind of shows the point. Of course, I would usually change my ammo to what I need, you know, shield piercing or armor piercing based on my target. But high explosive is kind of the jack of all trades, master of none. Besides that though, there's not too much else to say about the plane. Its top speed is around 83 miles an hour, I guess. It's hard to squeeze much more out of it. Of course, like I said, you could use the Venture Zero propellers, and that does get you about 10 more miles an hour, but that's about it. Some of you might have noticed that this plane is a little odd. As in, the wings look weird if you look at them at a certain angle. Well, that's for a few reasons. One, pretty much all the propellers are stuck inside. So there's not much room for anything else in there. Yeah. Oh, and did I mention there are batteries everywhere in here? Yep. Not the best design I've ever made, but you know what? Considering half the time all that gets hit is the tail back here, I'd say you're fine. Now, more importantly, the wings. I know it looks kind of weird, but at the same time, this is a pretty neat design. Oh, and it's just gonna launch everything. That's alright. So, the wings have 3 layers, and in the middle, I have these. These are large adjustment thrusters, and these have 2 purposes. One, to give you a bit more speed, but the more important one is to allow you to... oh, it's roll. That's what it is. It allows you to roll a bit better. Neat. But yeah, so that's what prevents this thing from being like the slowest, least maneuverable plane in my arsenal. Then you can also see some more batteries I stored in here, because it's not like we have room for other types. More adjustment thrusters behind that, and then just some armor and more adjustment thrusters. That's pretty much the wings, as well, of course, the guns, repair and shield bubbles. And the weird thing is, I even have cabs. Don't remember exactly why, but I've seen the wings get shot off before, and it will become a separate tech. So, that happens. In the back, pretty much the same thing, just more adjustment thrusters. In here, it's just all wings and anti-grav, and there's a repair and shield bubble in there somewhere. I like this design. I know you kind of have to get a good look at that, because like some aren't... wait, they all are. I thought I did something weird with the design. But yeah, I made this to look a bit more realistic to the actual design of it. I'd say I did a pretty good job. That's pretty much the teardown. There isn't too much to say about this. Let's see here. Repair and shield bubble to protect the front propeller. Beneath these, well, nothing. These are the passive ones. And honestly, I don't remember why I put these in here. It had like a issue with tilting a while ago, but I haven't had that in a while, so I think it's okay. But I might as well keep it anyways. And just to add to the fact that that's supposed to be the cockpit, the command center, there's a cabin there too. The last thing to really talk about is the landing gear. These are just landing skids. I mean, not much else to say. The only issue with this plane is it likes to keep going because it has skids. There's nothing to stop it. The main reason I use skids is because there are like no wheels that retract of this size. The reason you have to have skids is because we have a propeller. Okay, well, we did. and the propeller is so large you don't want it hitting the ground when you're trying to lift off and damage itself, or when you're trying to land. So yeah, that's the primary reason for this setup. Before I go into battles, I want to show you guys the other variations of these planes. Now this one, I haven't color coded everything else. I kind of want them to stand out a little bit. This one is the Mark II. It has missiles. Yeah, the real life ones did have missiles, rockets, whatever the right term for them is. So there's that. It makes it way more powerful. Still has the same high explosive guns. You've also noticed these little things. This is kind of a new system. If you've seen some of my other videos, you guys might actually know what these little white things are. They're one of my favorite things in the entire game. They're flares. Well, anti-missile flares to be exact. And the whole point of those little things I just dropped, well, there's two stuck, but pretty much my whole plan was like anti-missile drones, rockets, deployables. I don't know. The whole idea is that you kind of launch these when you're getting attacked by missiles, and they'll divert all the missiles to either them, or the missiles will get diverted again by the flares. That was kind of the plan. That one got stuck. Anyways, I thought it was just cool to kind of show that off. That was purely an experiment. I've always wanted to try that kind of thing for a while now, and it sometimes works. It just has situations. The major issue is when you deploy those, they fall because it's based on the speed you're going. So they fall back and don't usually do anything, but there's potential for these deployable ideas in the future. And the final one, this is the Mark III. This has the Venture Zero propellers inside. And look at that, 90 miles an hour instead of 83. I know I said 10, but I kind of forgot exactly how much it was. And it honestly moves better, I think. Kind of hard to tell. But still, the speed boost alone makes it entirely worth it. I wish I'd known this when I started building this thing, but yeah. While I'm setting up the battle, a fun fact is this is the original design that inspired me to make the F6F Hellcat in the first place. I kind of put these guns thinking it'd be interesting what I could do with guns on a plane, and the F6F Hellcat was born. For this video, I wanted to try something else. Instead of just doing the fights live, I mean, I still record them obviously, but I'm doing a voiceover and with sped up footage with this time. This is mostly just because I know the fights take forever and can get pretty boring. The first fight was my fighter against this bomber I built. Now, it would have been fun, but the advanced AI mod kind of derped the plane a bit. I cut that footage because I replaced the propeller. I decided not to do that later on. But yeah, this isn't the best showcase of this plane, or the other plane to be fair. Just like any other plane, it has a pretty common attack pattern. You kind of take a quick strike at the enemy and then swing back around, keep repeating it until they're dead. However, I kept crashing into this plane because, I mean, I didn't really know where I was going, and these are two massive planes. I'm usually just used to small planes where I can quickly strike and get out, not ones where I have to actually be involved with the fight. And I almost actually lost control, but somehow I regained it by kind of counter flying, counter steering. Yeah. And the other major thing I should kind of note is that this plane is slightly modified. This one has shield piercing rounds, not the high explosives. Honestly, I wish I had the high explosives. I also used shield piercing for the second fight, but if I did have high explosive, I feel like I would have done a lot more damage in both the first and second fights. Another major issue with this plane is its kind of lack of batteries. Like, I didn't manage to fit that many in. And in the end, I kind of used coward tactics, ran back and fired from a distance while grounded. That's the only reason I managed to destroy the enemy plane. But still, I forgot just how much those big guns can do just to my plane alone. Still, a pretty awesome fight. I took a lot of damage from it. And considering I don't have anti-gravity, yeah, I wouldn't be able to fly away from this. Looking back at the footage, the plane doesn't look too horribly damaged considering what happens later on. I mean, yeah, a lot of the blocks in the middle are missing, but it's not like any of the batteries exploded and destroyed like the entire insides or anything. The second fight is against the transport ship. This is one of my new benchmark tests, just to see how much damage I can do to it, considering how amazingly well armored it is. Its armament, however, is one destroyer gun and one anti-air gun, which can still deal a fair amount of damage to me, as you can see. The only major issue is it's pretty derpy, and if it gets off the ground a little bit, it will fly. I think the advanced AI is also trying to make it fly. I think that's what it thinks it is. I'm not entirely sure. So I just try to stall in air most of the time to see if I can get some free shots off. But like I said earlier, this one has shield piercing as well. The issue is shield piercing isn't that good. I should have used high explosive. It also managed to hit one of my wings entirely off. I'm pretty sure that's because I collided with it multiple times. Yeah, this fight didn't go that great, which is surprising. I thought a plane would easily beat the crap out of a transport ship. I guess I was just wrong. There's not really much else to say about this fight. I kind of forgot the bottom of the transport ship was completely unarmored. The issue is shield piercing, like I keep saying, is not that great. If I had high explosives, I could have ripped this thing in two. But I don't, and I didn't, so yeah. I should probably armor the bottom of the ship. I just never expect it to get hit is the thing. And I always like to do this just to see how much damage I've done, and honestly, I'm disappointed. I have barely scratched the bottom armor, barely destroyed anything inside. Any cargo in here would still be perfectly transportable. And if it were not derpy, it would have gotten away. The final benchmark, Purifier. I mean, you guys should probably guess how this one went, considering I couldn't even destroy a transport ship with way less guns. Now, Purifier has 4 secondary guns. This is bad. The cruiser gun can also go and shoot into the air. It also has missiles, and my flares don't do much against these missiles considering how close I am. So to say this was a bad time is kind of an understatement. I mean, I did literally no damage to Purifier in the end. I just got destroyed. The only real thing of note is like just how tanky this plane is. For a small plane, it can take a lot of damage, and unlike the bomber, the tail doesn't get just separated when it gets hit by anything, so that's pretty cool. However, much like the bomber before it, you can see where we get hit is always in the tail. That's because TerraTech guns aim at the tech, not where it's gonna be, so you generally get hit in the back a lot more than the front, unless you're dive bombing it like an idiot, which I am. So there's a huge hole in my wing now. That's neat. It doesn't really affect the performance because I'm skilled enough to be able to kind of outmaneuver my damage. But yeah, our battery is low. This fight did not turn out that great for us. Now, surprisingly, I kind of figured I was dead here anyways. I wanted to see if the kamikaze could deal any damage, and I'm pretty sure it did get one destroyer gun on the side. What's even cooler though is the plane actually split, like the different cabs worked. But the damage, yeah, you can kind of tell. I did literally nothing. Purifier did not take any major damage here. She only lost one destroyer gun and one missile launcher. I was trying to find a little battery panel so I could see the charge, but yeah. That's it. I was extremely disappointed. We did a lot of battery damage, but yeah, it was still pretty much unscathed. So that kind of shows you how weak this plane is, but still, it was one of my favorite builds ever in this game. It is a very cool looking plane. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This is going to be Enzo from LookIntoGaming, signing out.